Welcome to a series of tutorials on APA format and style. I am Professor Mary Ann Fallon from the Department of Psychological Science at Central Connecticut State University. In this tutorial, I will show you how to set up your title page in APA format using Microsoft Word. I'm using a Mac, but the process is basically the same in a PC. We'll talk about your title, author byline, institutional affiliation, and the author note. First, notice that all initial setup has been completed. The margins, font, and line spacing are set, and the running head and page numbers are properly formatted. If you need some help setting up these elements of your paper, please watch the initial setup tutorial. Now let's set the title. It should appear about 3 double-spaced lines from the top of the page. 1, 2, 3. It also needs to be centered. You can use the icons here on the major toolbar or on the Home tab of the ribbon. If you don't see these icons, you can also set a centered alignment by going to the Format menu and selecting Paragraph. Under the Indents and Spacing tab, you can see Alignment, and then you can select Center. Now click OK. Now type your title. Gender differences in liking happy and sad music under Sad Mood Induction. Try to include important variables of interest in your title. In this case, it's clear that one variable is gender, another variable is type of music, happy or sad, and the final variable is liking. Further, your title should be no more than 12 words. You've probably come across published articles with titles that exceed 12 words, but you should stick to this guideline. You also need to format your title using title case, which means that you capitalize all major words that are 4 or more letters long. A major word is one that provides important content rather than function. Conjunctions such as and, but, articles such as a, the, and short prepositions such as of, in, are function words, and thus should not be capitalized. So in this title, in is not capitalized because it is a preposition with fewer than 4 letters. Now, under is also a preposition in this case, but it is capitalized because it has 5 letters. Note that sad is a short word, only 3 letters long, but it is content-rich and therefore capitalized. If your title happens to extend to the next line, just let it wrap naturally to the next line, even if there's only 1 word. Now put in a hard return, and you are ready to include the author's byline. Include your first name, middle initial, if applicable, and last name. Do not include any titles or degrees earned, such as doctor, BA, etc. If you have a suffix in your name, such as junior or the third, separate it from the last name with a space, no comma. Notice that your name is centered, just like your title. If you are not the only author on your paper, you separate the authors with a comma and use the word and, not an ampersand, before the final author. There are special rules regarding the order of authorship, so when in doubt, check the APA manual or ask your professor. Now place another hard return. Next up is the institutional affiliation, which is your institution or organization at the time you conducted the research. Do not abbreviate any portion of your institution's name. So you would type out Central Connecticut State University, not CCSU. There are special rules when multiple authors are from different institutions, and in such cases, you should consult the APA manual. And as usual, we key in a hard return. Now you need to format your author note, which appears at the bottom of the title page. It's difficult to judge just how long the author note will be, so make 2 hard returns. and we can add more later if need be. Now format your heading. Type Author Note. Notice that there is no possessive for author, so you don't see an apostrophe S or S apostrophe. It is Author Note, not Author's Note. The heading is centered, not bolded or italicized, and uses title case capitalization. This type of heading is called a title heading. You can learn more about headings in a different tutorial. The author note typically contains 4 paragraphs, including departmental affiliation, changes of affiliation, acknowledgments and special circumstances, and contact information. You should definitely include departmental affiliation and contact information. You include changes of affiliation only if your institution or organization changes between the time you conduct your research and the time you produce your manuscript. Acknowledgments and special circumstances are also optional. You start with departmental affiliation. We'll key in a hard return, and we must make sure our author note is left justified. So let's change that in the toolbar. Each paragraph of the author note is also indented. So we'll hit Tab. That brings us a ½ inch into the body of our manuscript. You include your name as it appears in the byline, your departmental affiliation, and your institution. Include commas to separate each major element of the affiliation. Place a period at the end, and key in a hard return. Again, we indent. If you have not changed your institution or organization, you can now place your acknowledgments and special circumstances in the second paragraph. Here you can acknowledge anyone who assisted you in conducting your research but is not an author. In professional papers, sources of funding are also acknowledged. So let's say another researcher shared materials with you, and that this research was funded by a student-faculty grant. Those contributions should be acknowledged, like this. Special circumstances typically include conflicts of interest or reports of data that were previously published or presented. Further, you might disclose whether any portions of your manuscript were submitted as part of another class. For example, students who write literature reviews for other classes might devise empirical studies to examine their question. Or, if you are publishing your work, you might have presented portions of your study at a conference. So, you could write something like this. Be sure to ask your professor what constitutes special circumstances. Done. Make a hard return. And indent again. Last but not least, include your contact information. Supply complete correspondence information, including snail mail address and email. Do not include a phone or fax number. If you do not want to provide your home address, use your organization's or your institution's address. Unlike the other paragraphs in the author note, do not include a period at the end. As in the first paragraph, you separate each major element of your contact information with a comma. Except when you get to the end of your snail mail address, there is no comma between your state and the zip code. After the zip code, you place a period, and then provide your email address. There is no period after your email address. The final step is to place your author note in the correct location. Author notes appear at the bottom of the page, and all information should fit on this page. Let me zoom out so I can see the entire page. That's better. So I'll place my cursor above the author note and include hard returns between the institutional affiliation and your heading for your author note. And now you have a completed title page. So to review, in this tutorial, you learned how to format your title page. You included your title, author byline, and institutional affiliation in the top half or third of the page. Then you formatted your author note. which consists of 2 to 4 paragraphs at the bottom of the page. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and please join me again to learn more about APA formatting.